Before I met Christ, I was very empty. I was very sad and depressed, and I felt alone.
Austin was, before Christ, he was very depressed, and I could not get him out of his funk.
Growing up, I had a pretty cool group of friends. We were very close. As we got older, they started to shift in a direction that I wasn't comfortable with. And that direction involved experimenting with drugs and alcohol.
He wasn't meshing with his friends anymore. I just, as they were getting older, his friends were changing, and I think he was trying to change. He was kind of, wanting to fit in, but I think there was a lot of reservations there.
The situations that they were going through, it wasn't something that I wanted to go through. I wasn't sure that was the type of person I was. They stopped hanging out with me, and I felt left out of the group. That's when I became depressed. Loneliness and depression, and I would just stay up in my room for days, just sleeping and not talking to anyone or going outside or hanging out with them. I was born and raised Catholic, and the Catholic Church, we would go to Mass on Easter and Christmas and stuff like that, but that connection with God wasn't really there, and that led to me wondering why I didn't feel anything. I was wondering where God was in those times, because in church I wouldn't even pay attention. My connection with God was non-existent, and I felt very empty without Him. I feel like that was also a reason why I was depressed. I doubted Him very much.
I totally wanted more for him, and when he came to me and mentioned that he thought it was time to find a new church, I was a little hesitant at first. I was born and raised Catholic, and it's hard to leave tradition when you've just been that way, but I wanted more for my son, and I wanted to see him happy again, and I'm not gonna cry.
So you wanted to see him happy again?
Yeah, so I wanted to see him happy, and I missed him laughing, and crud, I'm a mess. Hang on.
I stereotyped Christians into one category to where they believed in God, but they didn't really care about other people. So I was stuck between the world, and I saw them as the typical partiers and the people who drank and smoked and all that stuff. And then I was stuck between the church, and that church I thought was very stereotypical as well. Both sides weren't genuine, and so I was kind of stuck in the middle, and I didn't really have anyone around me at that time.
What was the turning point in that period for you?
The turning point in my depression stage was I asked to find a new home church. We went to Rivers Crossing, and that is where I started to feel something, but I was still skeptical of it. My mom was kind of forcing me to go to tribes, and I was just like, yeah, sure, Mom, I'll go, if you want me to. Although I may have been skeptical at first, they were very welcoming, and I knew that. And it took me a while to overcome my selfishness. And later on, I soon realized that those moments of tribes were the things that brought me to Christ. We had deep talks in small groups, and those deep talks in the small groups, that was me kind of reaching out and asking questions, and they knew that I wasn't a full believer, but they were helping me out a lot through my journey. It made me realize that not all Christians are stereotypical, and I knew that they were actually good people. Since I've had a good connection with Jesus, my life has been changed. Life with Jesus is so much better than what it was before. He's lifted off so many stresses, and He's lifted off my depression.
He started to get happier again, and I saw his eyes were lighting up again. He wasn't sleeping all day. To me, I think as a mom, that is all we could ever want for our kids. That he was making choices. He was getting up before I was for church on Sundays, and he was anxious to get in there, and he would tell us to hurry. Then he got involved in the worship team, and I did totally, like, it was like a fire lit up in him. I mean, he loves his music. It is a true passion for him, and it grew tremendously. I think that is when I personally saw his change.
Once I joined the worship team, that kind of flipped a switch and made me want more. And so I started going to church like voluntarily instead of having my mom drag me out to it. Church changed my relationship with my family because I would never talk to my parents about anything. Just because I felt like they would like judge me or whatever. But I started to actually like being around them. I started to like being around them instead of fighting with my parents or my siblings all the time.
I noticed he was spending more time downstairs with us, which was really cool, spending some weekends with us, which is even cooler. I just feel like we have grown together in this relationship. It's not perfect. We still fight. It's normal stuff, but it is so much better. And I see these other kids out here, especially some that he grew up with, and I hope they can find what he is getting. He still has a long ways to go. We all do. But I am finding that if kids can just find where they are meant to be and just learn a little bit about Jesus and what he can do in your life, I mean, there is nothing short of a miracle of what he can do in your life. And just don't give up.
If you find yourself in the position I was in, depressed, lonely, someone who didn't want to go to church or tribes or anything like that, someone who was forced to go to church, you're not alone. Like, I was there before, where there is hope, and tribes is a place for everyone. It has made a huge impact on my life, and it can make an impact on yours too.